The topic for this year's Pertinent Oratory is 2020 and beyond. This topic surprised me somewhat as the oratory hasn't had a topic in the past. Despite this, I imagine the purpose was to direct students toward describing the emotional torment they suffered through the lockdowns and how COVID-19 made them appreciate their friends so much more. If that was what your intention was, then I'm sorry to disappoint. I have a much different subject in mind, one that affects or is affected by everyone who will watch this video. I want to talk about the fascistic nature of the way teachers interact with students and how I've realised this in 2020 and my solution to it in the years beyond. This year, before the coronavirus shaped excrement and hit the proverbial fan, was the year the mobile phone ban was implemented. It seems a rather minor issue now in comparison to the elephant in the room, but the way in which the message was delivered by admin staff is what I have quarrel with. I was told that the school was just complying with government regulation, which is insulting in its falsehood as the government ruling applied exclusively to state schools. Furthermore, we were told to have a chance at changing this, we would just have to wait until we were 18 and vote out the Andrews government. This shows a supreme lack of transparency as well as a disconnect between how teachers presume students think and what they find funny against what in reality is an extremely restrictive measure that serves only to bar us from contacting friends, family and work. Oh, and contact tracing for anyone who may have been a close contact to a confirmed COVID case incidentally, but you need not worry about that last point. The Crest has assured me that the St. Pat's contact tracing is superlative even without digital aids that might be required if the contact occurred anywhere outside the classroom. Aside from that specific situation, I've noticed a very similar occurrence in the classroom, that being the practice of ringing parents and sending students to the coordinator's office. As strange a complaint that might seem, I would like you to imagine a situation for a moment that Elizabeth Ryan has had a complaint about your teaching from a parent. She then, instead of approaching you directly, proceeds to ring your significant other to complain about your methods. This practice is degrading and robs the student of any sense of agency or responsibility. It is singularly the worst thing you could do to prepare them for being an adult, especially in senior years. That notwithstanding, the practice of sending students to the coordinators allows teachers to obfuscate responsibility and shirk accountability for their actions. I watched a student sent to the coordinators for daring to complain about the innumerable errors in a 3-4 test used to determine rankings that looked as if it had not been proofread. That student was punished for expecting a reasonable dialogue from a teacher. I have watched a student being sent trackings for wagging classes because a teacher misidentified that student out of a window multiple times. I watched a student be issued a uniform detention for not wearing a suit coat while being called special for doing so. This behaviour disgusts me as it should disgust all of you because it punishes students in cruel and unusual ways that by no means fit the crime. I could not make this speech without talking about the hypocrisy though. I watched as a teacher apologise about not marking a SAC for 3 months because of how hard online learning was, and in the same breath complain about the lack of homework submission. I was told the motto of this school was Facade et Docati, to do and to teach, but I was wrong. The motto of this school should be render unto Caesar what is owed to Caesar, because then at least everyone would know that this school exists only to please investors and you would be following the teachings of Jesus you claim to know and value beyond a marketing gimmick. Then we can hear a testament of our farce of an institution on our lapels instead of a diabolical lie. Furthermore, I should point out that I have seen a Year 7 boy brought to tears on the bus because of the harsh way in which admin staff talked to a group of students about bullying, of which he was no wrongdoer. I believe it is telling that particular staff believe that bringing a child to tears is completely reasonable and even noble, not bullying. I am sure it's just part of the job though. After all, who am I to judge? Well, I disagree with that sentiment. I believe the way we are treated is belittling and needs to be changed. Students should be treated as autonomous human beings that may have just as much going on in their lives as any one of you. We are not here to serve your ego-ridden power trip. You are supposed to be the adult in this relationship, so act like it. That is what I want to see in 2020 and beyond. But I don't expect anyone but the humble adjudicators to ever see this. After all, it wouldn't be like a teacher to accept criticism, would it?